What's up, guys? So I lost about 50 pounds or so in just about 2 months. I was actually quite overweight before this, and there's a lot of common misconceptions about dropping body fat and getting lean. And I just wanted to share my story so that way it can help other people who are also trying to get lean. And one of the main things is that I did this without using a gym. Basically, everything I did was from home. So I was able to do this without going to the gym, and I just wanted to share some of the things that I learned along the way with you guys so that way you guys can get good results and that way you can get that six pack that you want, basically. So the main thing that I want to talk about in this video is that 100% you can get in shape without going to the gym and without spending a crazy amount of time doing exercise. So what happened for me is that I was really busy with work and my relationship, and I literally just looked in the mirror one day. Well, actually, no. What happened first was I stepped on a scale, and the scale said I was 260 pounds. So that's about 117 kg basically. But I was not expecting to be that heavy. I was kind of in denial at first, and I started thinking, man, I must have gained a lot of muscle recently, man. I don't know. I must have been eating a lot of steak or something, man. Oh man, my muscle must be. Basically, I was just under the impression that it was lean body mass that I'd gained. But then I looked in the mirror and I even took a video. And then I looked at myself and I was like, damn, bro, I'm fat. And obviously it wasn't funny at the time. But again, I was busy and I didn't have much energy. And with all the responsibilities that I had, I really didn't have much time to start trying to spend 2 hours out of my day and devote that to gym time and meal prep and all that stuff. So I was really thinking, I was like, I definitely need to do something and get my weight under control and drop some of this body fat, but I definitely don't want to be spending 2 hours a day in the gym. And so I really started brainstorming and I was thinking to myself, because there's plenty of people with great physiques that don't go to the gym. And that's kind of what gave me the inspiration. That's part of the reason why I knew that I didn't have to go to the gym to get a good physique. And so what I did was I sat down and I just really decided that I want to do this, and I really just committed. Because the thing is that there's so many different ways to get in shape. There's so many ways and so many places. There's so much information out there on YouTube, or if you're into reading books, you can pick up books and magazines. But there's so much information out there. But the main thing that always stops people is it's not how do I do it. It's never a question of what to do. It's a question of how do I actually get up and stay consistent? How do I actually force myself to stick to a diet that I hate? How do I force myself to get up and exercise every day? And for me, that's when it sort of clicked, right? Because that I shouldn't have to be forcing myself per se to do anything, right? If I'm actually doing something that's beneficial for me, I should actually be getting some enjoyment out of it. I feel like if you really feel that terrible about getting in shape, there's probably something wrong with the method. And so instead of going the regular route, the regular route where it's all about just torture and masochism and just destroying yourself, I thought to myself, this is a good goal to have, but how can I set things up in a way to where I enjoy the process, to where I enjoy dropping the body fat, to where I enjoy obviously building the muscle mass? And I started thinking, and I was thinking, why is it that people get so wrapped up and they hate it so much when they're trying to drop weight? But it wasn't so much that they hate dropping weight. It's, in my opinion, it actually just comes from doing too much too soon. Because if I was to compare it to something like, I don't know, let's say learning to drive, that should be, even though it's something new and it's something that you have to work at, it's something that should be somewhat enjoyable, especially when you look at the end goal, right? From going to not having a license to having that license and driving that car. The end goal is something positive, and the process you get in there should also be something positive. So I was thinking, why isn't that the same thing with fitness, right? If you have your end goal is really good to be in great shape and great health, why isn't the process reflecting that same positive energy? And again, it's just doing too much. Because for instance, if you're learning to drive, typically you take it quite simple. Each day you go out, let me do a little bit of driving. I learn this, I learn that. And you just keep doing that. And then over the course of a certain amount of time, let's say over the course of 60 days, you learn how to drive and you enjoy driving. And I thought, why can't I apply that same sort of philosophy towards fitness, right? Because even with the driving, if you were learning to drive, but I forced you to be on the road for 8 hours or 10 hours a day, like those truck drivers, most people wouldn't want to learn how to drive. It wouldn't be a pleasurable experience. But that's because obviously it's too much, right? When you reduce the load and you set it to a point that you can handle comfortably, that's when you're actually able to enjoy the process and you start to anticipate the end result and you start to really enjoy it and you really start to just come to terms with the journey and you enjoy the journey and you excited about the journey. So then I sort of took that mindset and I applied it to fitness. If I reduce what I'm doing, I'll be able to enjoy the process. Right? If instead of trying to talk to myself, I go in to either an exercise routine or a diet routine and I just take it in bite-sized pieces that I can handle, then I'll be able to enjoy the process. And that's exactly what I did. Because what I decided, because obviously I was quite busy, and a lot of you guys are probably quite busy as well, whether it's with work or relationships or social events. Because a lot of times the reason why you even gain that weight in the first place is because you don't have enough time for yourself. And then your energy starts to drop and then you start eating all the fast food because you don't have enough time and energy. So obviously when it came to the fitness side of things, I thought, what do I have time for? What do I have energy for? And so I was just really brutally honest with myself. And I told myself, you know what, I've got 10 minutes, right? Because obviously people will tell you, oh, just put in half an hour a day or just put in 1 hour. But who wants to sit here and spend an hour learning something new that's going to take away all your energy, especially when you're unsure if you can even get the result that you want, and you're already tired and lack energy to begin with? Who's going to do that? Almost no one. That's why an hour, sometimes even half an hour, it's actually a big hurdle. But I was honest with myself. I said, you know what? I've got 10 minutes max per day for this fitness goal. And with that, obviously, when you think about exercise, there's not really much you can do in 10 minutes, right? Obviously, you can do some push-ups or some sit-ups, or you can do some basic stuff, but it's not going to be anything that's sort of life-changing, right? But obviously, I still wanted to hit my goal. So what came to mind, obviously, because you hear this a lot, everyone will tell you, oh, it's 80% diet anyway. So I thought, you know what? I'll focus on my diet. I'm pretty sure I can put in almost no time and improve my diet. And so that's how I started thinking. I was like, so I don't have much time, but I can definitely get in shape if I'm intelligent and if I'm clever about how I go about this. And so from that part, what the first thing that I did was obviously because you think about diet, and again, it takes a long time to cook, doesn't it? So it wasn't like, oh, I could start meal prepping. No, that takes too long. So instead of trying to add new stuff, first thing I did was to start removing stuff, right? But again, it had to be manageable, right? It had to be something that I could sustain. So instead of sitting here and trying to remove everything out of my diet and be super strict and be like, oh, yeah, I'm just gonna go all in and do that. No, I thought, what could I do consistently with minimal effort? Because I know if it's minimal effort, I can do it every day. And so I started off, and obviously, if you've been watching my videos, you probably already know what I'm going to say. I started off and I said, you know what? Let's pick one thing, just one thing that I know I shouldn't be eating if I want to lose fat and remove it from my diet. And so for me personally, I was eating a lot of cheese, right? Obviously, cheese is quite good for, it's very good for the bones, but again, if you're trying to lose weight, it's probably not the best. And actually, I was actually eating a lot of honey as well at the time, like raw honey, local honey, the high quality stuff from the bee farm with the vitamins and the enzymes and the micronutrients, but it's full of sugar. And obviously, if you have fats and sugar together, that helps you to keep weight on. So I removed that stuff because obviously I was trying to take weight off, right? I was trying to drop body fat. And literally just removing that, I literally dropped about 3 kilos, 7 or 8 pounds in the first 10 days. And the other thing that I did was I started writing down everything that I was eating. And just doing those two things alone, because it was so easy to do, I was really able to do that every day. Obviously, it took less than 10 minutes, probably took less than 5 minutes, it probably took less than 60 seconds, if anything. But what happened was there's a massive mindset shift because one is I've actively removed something. So I've done something, I've made a step towards my goal, And then the writing stuff, oh my, that was so much of a game changer. You wouldn't think it would make that much of a difference. But because I had to write, and I say write down, I was really just typing stuff out on my phone. But because I had to write it down every single time I ate, it naturally made me more conscious of what I was putting in my mouth. And the fact that I had to write it down as well, it also just naturally there was more accountability. Because obviously, if I'm trying to lose weight, I'm not going to want to write down that I drank 5 Coca-Colas and I had a full tub of ice cream. You don't want to do that. When you're writing it down, you have to look at it. You don't want to do that naturally. So it naturally deterred me from obviously eating junk food, but it was without the pressure because obviously I only chose to remove one thing. So there was no pressure, but yet there was a constant reminder to do well. So it's positive reinforcement. And obviously, most people eat 3 meals a day, or maybe there's 2 snacks, maybe more than that. So that's 5 times a day that you're actively reminding yourself that you're on a fitness journey. And it's a positive reminder as well. So that really shifted my mindset. And what that actually led to me doing, believe it or not, because obviously I made that progress just from that basic stuff. And then obviously when you do start to make progress, you start to get that dopamine hit from doing stuff. And then naturally you just start doing more. Because obviously you're thinking, I made all this progress doing damn near nothing. What's going to happen if I add this in? What's going to happen if I add that in? And then naturally I started adding more stuff in over time. For instance, I started walking, right? I started doing steady state cardio. Goal every day was just 10 minutes a day. But what happened was once you actually get outside and you start walking, sometimes you actually feel like walking more than 10 minutes, believe it or not. And again, it just snowballs, but it's snowballing in the right direction. And the next thing you've got all these habits that are contributing to weight loss. And the next thing you know, the body fat's gone. So I just wanted to share that. Again, it's just taking small steps and positive steps in the right direction really starts to snowball. And that's what's going to allow you to be consistent. So that way you can stick with your fitness goals. And that way you can get in shape from home. Obviously, the diet is very important. Over time, I started to make sure that I was eating more protein. 50 to 80% of my diet was coming from my animal protein. And after a while, I started to look at how many calories I was eating. Again, this happened naturally. It wasn't that I was forcing this stuff. It's just that I started out with those very small steps and then I was getting progress. I just wanted to do more, but that came from a positive place. It came from excitement. It came from enthusiasm because I was making progress doing so little. And it was just that small little build up that allowed me to take off, right? It's like an airplane, right? It's there and then it speeds up and then, oh, it takes flight. And that was the same thing with my weight loss journey, right? It was, oh, okay, I think I'll do this little thing. Actually, let me do a little bit more. And then, except it was this way. Ooh, that weight started dropping. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. If you're doing it alone, it can be quite discouraging at times. Because even if you are making small steps, sometimes obviously that progress starts to stall and it can be very discouraging. So if you do need any help, you can just hit us up on WhatsApp if you have any fitness questions, if you want to know a specific diet that I had or something like that. Or if you do need extra help and you're willing to make that investment, then obviously you can just fill out the form and sign up for the one-on-one coaching. But again, guys, I just hope that this helps you a lot and that if you just start off with the small steps and then from there build up and make momentum, it's so much easier and so much more likely that you'll be able to stay consistent with your fitness goals. So again, I hope you guys hit your fitness goals and make sure you get that 6-pack by summer. Till next time, guys. Peace.